Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to an Impromptu Truth. Are you guys unmuted? You guys good? Can you hear me?
What's going on, ladies
Dark,
and gentlemen?
Yeah, I
Mass.
can hear you.
All right. Welcome back to an Impromptu Truth, ladies and gentlemen. This is an impromptu interview number 9. We are joined by Dark Woods, who is one of the family members from the Vault of Nightmare Nation, and he lives in, I believe it's Michigan, right?
No, pretty close. I live up in Vilas County up there in Wisconsin, most northern part of Wisconsin.
Okay. Wow. Okay. And he's uh he's been catching some pretty interesting stuff in these photos, and apparently he's been having some activity around his house. When we were talking on the phone earlier, he mentioned a bird feeder was taken down. And wait, hold on, Carter. So yeah, let's take it away. So Dark, Dark, you want to tell us what you've been experiencing? You want to walk us in like first experiences and everything like that?
All right, I'll tell you about my first experience. We were having a bonfire, and I didn't know too much about Bigfoots and things like that, but we were enjoying ourselves, cooking up some marshmallows and that. And all of a sudden, we heard this strange howl back behind the house. And behind the house, about a 10-minute walk, is Manitowoc River. And on the other side of that is just desolate swamp and forest islands. And way out there, we heard what sounded like a coyote howling, but it was off. And me and my girlfriend um, realized that it didn't sound like a coyote. And it's about 11 o'clock at night. This was in 2019 in January. And I can't picture anyone running around. People don't go walking around out here at night. Too many predators, wolves, and whatnot that'll mess with you. But I was just stunned at what could be doing that. So, joking around, I did this sound blast that sounds like a oof real loud, and it carries for miles. I used to do that on a farm I lived at. A good buddy of mine named Paul, we would communicate that way across acres so he would know I was calling him. So I let out that call, and less than 30 seconds across the river to the back of the woods right behind our house where we were at, we heard that howl again. Next thing you know, there's tons of tree knocking going around us. It sounded like several things are in the trees knocking. I had a headlamp on. I couldn't see what was happening, and it was getting kind of crazy. And I looked at my girlfriend. She decided, she told me that she was going to take her son and the dog, and they're going to go inside because it was getting a little crazy out there. So I told her I was going to hang back and see if I could learn anything else because this was really bizarre. And so they left, and when my fire starts dying down, and it's black. There's no streetlights, nothing out here. You can't even see your hand in front of your face. But I was standing there listening to hear either footsteps or branches breaking or something. And I'll tell you the most strangest sound I ever heard. I'll never forget. Kind of sounds like what the hell you call those birds? Um, they thump real loud when they fly on their chest. Mm. Either way, it sounded like that. It sounded like that bird. But
Okay.
to me, in my mind, it sounded like big fingers beating on a chest. You know how like a gorilla would pound on its chest, but
Yeah.
this was like fingers. I have a really good uh, hearing. I have an ear for music and tones and different things, and this was super fast and super precision thumping on a chest. And as loud as I'm talking to you, you were here and you heard that thumping, you wouldn't be able to hear me talking because it was freaking super loud. And that went on for about 2 to 3 minutes steady. And if it was one of those birds that I can't remember the name of, if they usually fly off and it fades out. But this was constant, persistent, and the beating was super fast and super precise. It was nothing like I ever experienced. And I stood there trying to figure out what the heck it was. And it sounded like it was about 20 feet away from me. And after a while, it registered in my head. All my hair stood up on the back of my neck, and I figured this time I'm out of here fast. So I started heading back towards the house, and this bonfire pit's about 100 yards away from the house. You know, you're deep in the woods. And by the time I got up to the front of the house, my girlfriend was standing up there concerned. And I told her, man, you should have heard what I just heard. And she said, you should see the way you're facing. But that was my introduction to the things that were going on around here.
Now, did she hear anything from the house?
Well, she was there with the tree knocking during the bonfire. And our dog passed away last summer. She was a gem, a sweetheart. Every time we would go with her, she would be out on point. She knows the woods. You know, she's always very protective of the family. She didn't do anything. It seemed like she wanted to go in the house with the rest of the people.
Yeah.
But what's interesting, there's 3 of us out there, and then you include the dog. And every time the tree knocks were going on, which was super loud, it was always 3. Bam, bam, bam. Bam, bam, bam. I find that interesting. I don't know if that was letting some others or something know that there's 3 of us there.
It could be. Now,
It could be.
in what directions were the knocks coming from? Were they coming from like all around you or like 3 sides of you?
Yes, you know what? The way that went down was super chaotic, and it sounded like it was all around. Like I couldn't tell how many they were because there were so many. But as far as the finger thumping thing goes, there was only one that was doing that. And when I realized it seemed like it was about 20 feet away from me, which I would never see, that got a bit freaky.
Could you describe the initial howl that you heard?
Yeah, I don't know if you ever heard of a coyote howling. It's not like a wolf, but it's, you know, you could tell it's a smaller canine howl, but it would howl and then break up, keep that howling going on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what, because I've heard coyotes, I've recorded them, and that's kind of what threw me off. And then, like I said, there's no one's gonna. I don't know of anyone that's gonna walk over there. I mean, you walk around in some of those marshes back there. Given it is winter time and it was frozen, but during the summer, you'd sink down in there and no one would ever find you. You know.
All right, so that was your introduction to the things around your area. Has anything other substantial stuff happened?
Yeah, I've had some rocks thrown at me. I think it was in the fall of 2020. My Blazer gas tank rotted out, so I was replacing that. I don't have a garage, so I was doing that outside. And I was preheated and pissed off because things weren't working out, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was because I was projecting that negative energy out or whatever, but I crawled off from under the truck and I was going to go to the shed where I had more tools, and I heard something coming through the top of the weeds, like, and I could see a little pebble come down and bounce off the ground. And I'm thinking, well, where did that come from? And then 3 seconds after that, another one comes down. 3 seconds after that, another one comes down. And this is going towards sundown, but it was still pretty bright to see.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking around in the woods and I couldn't see anything. And I know that they got that hair that can cloak or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
but I just couldn't see nothing. And then it stopped. And the next day I'm out there messing around, same thing's going on. This happened like 3 days in a row. And then one day, because my girlfriend used to work a second shift job. By the way, her name is Primal Cry. You might see her in the chat. Give her a shout. But that's who she is.
Yeah,
Um,
I've seen her.
she
I've seen
came.
her in chat. What's up,
Yep.
Primal? For later on when everybody's in chat watching this.
Hello, Primal.
Yeah, yeah. She's my love of my life, my sweetheart, and everything in between. A good woman there.
Nice.
But anyway, she came home at a second shift job she did, and it was around 11 o'clock when she shows up. And I go out there with the dog to greet her, because the dog Lyra that we had, she would always bark with cars coming up or car doors or whatever. So we just bring her outside with me. So I meet her outside and we're talking, and all of a sudden you can hear this thing swishing through the air at Mach 1 speed. And then you hear a massive, what it was a large rock, and it flew through the air. It hit a tree, made a big pop sound. It ricocheted off that tree and it hit another tree and made another big popping sound. So that was some incredible force. And I remember when that happened, I thought about the little rocks they were throwing before, and I was confused what the heck was going on with this big rock,
Yeah.
And it
Mm-hmm.
kind of pissed me off because that was the first and only aggressive action that I felt, towards us. And I wasn't too happy about that. And I was hoping nothing stupid further occurred after that, which it didn't. So I was glad about that.
The pebbles might have been maybe a juvenile throwing them. The big one, the big rock. I don't
No,
know.
I don't know. I'm kind of thinking that because you walked out there with the dog, you know what I mean. It might not have liked the dog. Whereas
Well,
when you were with fixing your car, the dog wasn't around you, was he? Or was she?
no, that's true. Yeah, but I usually we take the dog out constantly during the day, at night, right before we go to bed. So the dog's outside a lot of times too. So not sure if it was that, but um, I know she used to live here before I moved up here about 2 years ago. It was just her and her son, and then we kind of have a feeling like some of them, you know how they watch people and this and that, or whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a chance. Maybe there's a chance that they seen here's a family and there's no male around, and so they kind of like kept an eye on her, maybe
Mm-hmm.
something like that. Because I have some suspicions with my truck getting smashed up and urine on the tires and whatever that they're kind of protective of her or whatever.
So
I don't know.
there have been a lot of reports that like say husband drives tractor trailers, right, and he's gone for a long period of time, or there's no male in the house for a long period of time, and then the male starts showing up, and these creatures have been around. There's instances of them being aggressive towards the males that are starting to come around that area. So, yeah, it's quite possible that you you might have pissed them off when you started showing up.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
who's this
but I
new
think
guy?
now exactly. New kid on the block.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe that they accepted that I'm here probably because I'm stuck around and things are cool with us.
Yeah, so there's like
I,
we're probably like we're gonna test you, and if you now they figure out that you're not going anywhere, like so they're like, all right, we'll mess with you a little bit, we'll leave you alone for the most part.
yeah, that's true. And earlier you're talking about juveniles. I really believe that's uh, the type that I'm dealing with here.
Well, it looks like from the pictures I've seen on Facebook, it looks like you're dealing with a lot more than just juvenile like Bigfoot.
Yeah, those are if that's a juvenile, that's a big juvenile. Like some of those prints, like
Well, that 23-inch footprint there, that one definitely is not a
that's
juvenile.
that's granddaddy.
Yeah, I'd hate to see what that one looks like.
Dude, 20. You said 23 inches. That's as big as Shaquille O'Neal's foot.
That
So
dude's got a crazy foot.
yeah, he does. So um, so what's been going on like around the house? Have you had any issues?
Um, except for the bird feeder incident, because we did have some handprints on there. One of them lasted. It's still up there. It's been a couple years. Rain, snow, whatever. I hear they got real greasy skin, grease on their hands, at least as far as I know.
Mm,
And people had their windows touched in their cars and homes, and they even used Dawn dishwashing soap, and it doesn't get it off. They had to use like a mineral spirit or a tire remover to get it out.
Yeah.
mm,
So, but yeah, the way we do have black bears up here. Some of them are freaking big, but and I can see a black bear taking down a bird feeder, but they usually take it off into the woods and destroy it and eat whatever's in it.
mm,
Whatever took this bird feeder out, it's got a metal bottom where the feed comes out, and it bent it down so all the feed would fly out of one of those holes, and it left the feeder down below where it was. Um, it's over a flower bed, and my girlfriend's real particular about that flower bed. And we looked in there, and there was no signs of anything stepping on it. So it had to have reached around the corner of the house and grabbed that without stepping in the flower bed. And if it was a bear, it would have mangled the flowers. It wouldn't care. It
mm.
would have tore up the bird
How
feeder and everything else.
how far is the bird feeder from around from the corner of the house? You know what I mean. So what kind of distance is that?
Yeah, I would say 2.5 feet.
Oh, so that's nothing at all.
No, not much. Not for something that could be 10 foot tall.
Yeah. Now, do you guys
But the prints on the house. If you ever seen a dirty car and you run a couple fingers on the windshield real quick,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and you see like a smudge or like by the door handles where people grab,
Hmm.
that's the type of print that's on the side of the house. And the bigger print in the front looks like a whole hand was it it was using the side of the house to lean against. And you know what bear prints look like. I mean, they're kind of stubby. This
Yeah.
was
Mm-hmm.
elongated, and you could see two finger-like deals on it as well. I'm going to be posting those pictures up pretty soon on my Facebook page, and you guys could check that out.
Okay. Cool. So how far up the house are is that handprint?
That handprint's about 5 feet, 5.5 feet.
So yeah, that you're probably dealing with. Is it like what's the size of it? Is it like this a little smaller than a catcher's mitt?
Well, you know what? It's kind of, I would say it's about 6 or 7 inches wide, maybe about 9 or 10 inches long. I don't know if the whole hand went on there,
Yeah.
but definitely the top part of it did.
Hmm. Have you caught any tracks around the outside of your house?
Now, not usually on the outside of the house because there's a logging road next to my house where they cleared out a small section of woods. So because of that, there's fresh dirt and stuff down there. And I look in there for tracks. I usually track deer. I had wolves coming up in the back of the house, so I want to keep an eye on when they're around. Um, the big footprint, the mud one, that's 23 inch. That one I took back there behind. It's behind the house. It's about 10-minute walk in the woods on that logging trail. And then the recent one I found in the snow was closer to the house. It's at the end of our driveway.
All right, so let's
Hmm.
see here. So it's cool that I bring up some of the photos you posted on Facebook, right?
Oh yeah, please share them. More information
Uh,
people know, the better off people
yeah, you gotta
knowledge
bring
are.
up. You have to bring up that one print of the dog print that he put up with a dollar next to it, the canine print.
Yeah, I'm looking for my folder. I'm looking for my folder with it.
So, do you think you just have Bigfoot in your area, or do you have other things also?
I'm definitely sure there are other things. I have a lot of audio that I've recorded and I talked to you about getting apps to clean them up and get them to where
Hmm.
people can hear it. So in the
Did any of those
future, I'll
apps
be
work?
putting what's that?
Did any of them work for you?
Oh, I haven't even had a chance to get into it yet,
Okay.
but I will
Um,
soon because it's very important to me to get that out.
I know you got the big canine print, but you got anything like the Fae in your area, just strange, paranormal things like
It's
orbs
funny you
or
mentioned that about. Yep. It's funny you mentioned that. I've got a couple of orbs on my game trail cam I set up. They float right on by. They move in different directions. And down at the end of the logging road, when I pull in my driveway to come up to the house, I could see where I have my camera mounted at.
Mhm.
And one day, this was in the fall, I have hummingbirds that I feed right out of my hand in the back porch. And all the hummingbirds are gone for the year. They migrate down, And this has
Mhm.
been 2 weeks after that. So I pulled into the driveway and I looked down the logging road and see this thing that looks like a hummingbird, but one wing was like 10 inches long, and the
Hmm.
body looked like a giant green cucumber. And I'm like, what the heck is that? And I'm watching it flying around like a hummingbird, and it's near my game trail cam. So I'm thinking I caught it on there. And then as I stopped and I'm watching it, it takes off and flies out into the woods and disappears. Um, Never seen nothing like that. There's no bird that I know that has a 20-inch wingspan that flies just like a hummingbird. You couldn't even see the wings. And then the way the body was shaped was like, and I heard from other shows and things, sometimes the Fae will look like a cucumber. I never thought that was possible, but that's what I saw down here, down the logging road deal. And I find it interesting because it was not too long after these loggers came in and did some damage into the woods.
Hmm. Truth, what are you
So have
doing?
you heard any being that I'm looking for trying to find my file. So have you gotten any reports or I know you're still new to the area, I believe, right? So have you heard anything around the area from other people? Like have they seen anything?
Man, I'll tell you what, people are far and few between up here. I've talked to people I worked with. I don't really get out and socialize. I don't hang out in bars or anything like that. But there's a couple of people I talked to that um, believe that there is a Bigfoot and this and that, but I've had no response on. actions they had. I don't know if they feel bizarre talking about those kind of things, but but yeah, not much information, like you said. I'm about 2 years into being up here, so
All right.
The
So
evidence is only going to get better.
oh yeah, definitely. So before you and Primal Cry moved in together, does she have any? Has she seen anything? Experienced anything?
oh yeah. She used to live just right across the street from where we are now. You could see it from this house, but that house was pretty messed up, and she ended up moving out and coming here. But over there, behind that house is a big stretch of swamp and then a lot of forest. And then back behind there is that dirt road, a long, windy dirt road where I got those big canine prints. Well, anyway, her and Lyra were walking out back behind the house, and there's a foot trail that she was walking on, exploring, because, we like to explore stuff up here. And she came up to a tree and she seen some turkey feathers at the bottom of the tree. So she's like, "Oh, cool! I'll pick up these feathers, and she'll probably make something cool out of it or whatever."
Hmm.
But she seen the feathers and she didn't see anything else, and so she was kind of like looking around, maybe a dead turkey somewhere, coyotes or something got it, and then just instinctively she decided to look straight up, and when she looked up the tree, 15 feet up into the tree, she found that turkey and it was pressed flat like a pancake into a knot hole in the tree. And when she saw that, she dropped all the feathers and she took her dog and she left, and she never went back that way again.
Has she experienced like
Damn.
I've
anything coming
heard.
up towards the house? What? Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, and I've heard where people found dogs smashed in the trees and goofy things like that too. But yeah, she said at night she'd hear some crazy stuff back there.
All right. And you said you found those canine prints on that side of the road?
Yeah, if you go back about a quarter mile, half mile, back behind that house, there's a dirt road that cuts between other roads. And we go back there and we do some mudding and stuff like that in the truck, have
Mm.
fun, goof around. But I go back there when there's a little bit of snow, like what's on the picture there, and I look for prints, and that's how I found those prints. And I also found some footprints, Bigfoot footprints back there as well, and a nice handprint. Yeah, that one there. That thing's freaking huge. Um,
Oh, yeah.
Now, what size boot do you wear?
I wear an 11.
So if you put your heel where that heel is, so
Yeah, my
what
heel's
is it?
not
That's
even
like a
near that
20-inch
big.
print.
You can see the
Yeah,
outline right here. You can see the outline of the big toe and then the second toe.
Hmm.
yep. Yeah, and there should be a nice handprint there with a lighter next to it too. That one freaked me out.
Wait a minute.
But
Whoa. So
that's a bizarre. Yeah,
Oh, yeah, what the
that
hell
I'm
made
not
that?
sure what that is. Yeah, that I'm not sure if that's a dog man because of how long them fingers are. But I guess a foot would have fingers like that too. But
well, if
Well, hasn't there been reports of Dogman in Wisconsin though?
yes, there is, and I'll tell you another story. These wolves I thought were in the backyard. Um, Behind the house is a shed, and it's nighttime. I wear a headlamp all the time. Um,
Hmm.
so I have my headlamp on, and I came around the back of the house up towards the side of the house where we have our cars parked, and I caught some eye shine out the corner of my left peripheral. So I stopped and I backed up and I looked over, and about 20 feet away from me was the set of eyes, and the distance between the eyes were freaking enormous. And they were like a neon green, and it had some insane depth to them. And I was thinking, what the heck was that? At first, I thought it was a mountain lion. And what was strange was I'm 5'11", and where this animal was down. The ground goes down about a foot, and its head was even with mine. And we stared at each other for like 30 seconds. It never blinked or anything, and I was looking at it trying to figure out what the heck it was. And then all of a sudden, its head went down, and I could tell my lamp it turned, and it was heading up towards the front of the driveway. Well, meanwhile, my girlfriend's out there with the dog right at the front of the driveway. So I start yelling at her, "Hey, something big's coming your way." And I'm paralleling it, looking through the woods with my headlamp, and I can see the sides of it, but I can see it's there, but I don't know what it is still.
Hmm.
And it came up, but it must have turned and went across the logging road and back in the woods because my girlfriend never saw it. But later on, I was thinking that animal had to have been because there's a couple of busted stumps down there or
Yeah.
around there. And I was thinking maybe its front legs was on it and it was up that high. But later on, when I checked during the daytime, there's no stump there. So I don't know what that was, but later on, we kept getting eye shine, the same eye shine in the backyard. Every time I go outside, first thing I got protocols. I'll turn on my cell phone, hit record just in case, because too many times I went outside and there's crazy noises and I missed it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
The second thing is I have the headlamp on and I look in the back. And for a while, I kept getting this eye shine back there. So I was trying to record it because it's pretty far out. And I have a Q beam, like a million kilowatt spotlight in my truck. And I mounted my phone to the top of it. And I would go outside and I would hit record, mount it on there. Because if I see eye shine, I turn my headlamp off right away. I get that rig set up, and then I turn on the spotlight. And the only thing I got was the back of the animal walking away, and it didn't run into the woods. It walked real slow and casual. It was gray. The base of the tail on the thing was like a pop can. It was huge. It was as big as a deer on all fours.
Okay.
And I know there's slate gray wolves up here and there's black wolves. We seen one of those up north. The thing was monstrous huge. They're huge up here. But what was weird was when it walked, the front I can't see its head. I could just see the back and like the back haunches and then the back itself. But when it walked, you could see the front of where the shoulders were. You could see the whole body go up and down, up and down. And I thought that was weird because I know how wolves will tuck their paws in and then pull them out when they step down.
Yeah.
This walked weird. Like to me, it seemed like it had hands, but I can't verify that. I didn't see it, so I'm not really sure.
All right. So let's backtrack a little bit. Back to the one that whatever you saw when you were did, whatever you saw with that eye shine. So you're 5'11", and you said it goes that little hill there goes down about a foot, and this thing was eye level with you. So that makes it at least almost 7 feet, right?
Hmm.
Yes, I
Um.
would say so.
So Did you hear anything like when you caught it on the when you turned and you caught it in your light? It stopped. Did you hear any rustling, any growling, any breathing? And then when it
Popping
took off, yeah, any
noises.
popping noises. Did it did it when it took off running towards the front? What sound did you hear anything, or even if you smelled anything?
First off, I didn't smell nothing, and I'll tell you, it moved like a ghost. There was no sound, nothing. And there's plenty of leaves and debris, especially being in the fall. Zip zero, no sound.
Hmm.
No. Wow.
All right, I
And
got a question. All right, you have a
and
lot of trees around in your area, right? Have you ever like caught anything like up in the trees?
It's funny you mentioned that. Remember on one of your shows, I made a comment about seeing an eyeball in a tree. Do you remember that?
Uh huh.
Yep, that's the eyeball I saw. So I was outside with the headlamp on at night. I always scan everything around when I go outside,
well,
for obvious reasons.
quick question. How many lumens headset headlamp is it? And like how many beams, how many light sources are on it?
It's got one beam and it's I think 400 looms.
Okay.
So it's not like the best deal.
Still
But
gets it
either
done though.
way,
I
it's
got
enough.
I got a nice headlamp.
That's true. And you can see I shine pretty far. Obviously I can't see what's making it, but I can see it.
Okay.
But whatever the case was, this one time I came outside, it was late at night. I usually smoke a cigarette before I go to bed. I don't smoke in the house. So I'm outside and I'm panning the ground looking for wolves or whatever that was, and looking left, right, back and forth. Then for some reason, it was almost like subconsciously, I don't know what, but for some reason, I just decided to look straight up. And as soon as
Hmm.
I went straight up, my light beam hit an eyeball. And I was blown away. I think most of the time I was just trying to figure out what it was, but I'm gonna give you a description of this eye. And this is something I'm super glad I'm be able to talk about this on the show. If there's anyone in chat or listening or anything, if they can figure out what this would have been, I would definitely appreciate some opinions on that. But when I looked up at it, there's this huge eye. I mean, if you know like a 30-pound turkey, the size of its leg, it was the eye that was that size. And it was only one eye. And I could
Hmm.
tell you it was the right eye. It was about, I would say it was about 20 feet up in the tree. I was about 15 feet away from it. When my light hit the eye, it did not reflect anything. It was a flat eye. There was no eye reflection whatsoever. And the eye was almond shaped. It wasn't circular.
Hmm.
It was almost like what you would picture in a drawing of like a dragon's eye. It was round near the nose, and then as it went back, it kind of tapered up in a slant.
Hmm.
Okay.
But this eye looked straight at me, and I looked straight at it for a long time. And it had, where the white of the eye is?
Yeah.
The color that I saw, it was yellow and kind of black. If you can picture you crack an egg in a black skillet and you mix up the yolk, it was that yolk yellow color, and you could see some of like the black skillet coming through it. It had
Okay.
a yellowish yolky eye that looked that way. Like the whole white part was that color, and then it had a dead black pupil that you couldn't see. It was just solid black dead, like no design or nothing inside. And it was staring down at me, and I was staring at it, and I was amazed to see it. I was looking around the eye because I had my headlamp on it, and I could see the trees nearby in the light, but I could not see a profile of the head or anything. And I
Wa-
know it was attached to a body, but you
Was
could
there any
not see nothing.
was there any foliage in the way?
No, it was in the way this thing was sitting up in the tree, it was looking out a hole where I could see it and it could see me. But I noticed that where it was positioned in the tree, it could look into the second story window into a bedroom, and it could look down into the living room. And on the angle that it was looking at, it could look down to where the couch would be, where we sit down and do whatever we do.
So what now is the couch facing the window or away from the window?
The couch is about 8 to 10 feet away from the window, but facing it.
Oh,
And
so
it's
they can,
on a 45-degree angle from the window.
so it'd be looking at you guys profile like.
Yeah, kind of like on our right profile.
How,
But what's weird was I couldn't see a body. I tried looking for what the heck it was. All I could see is this eye. And the eye, it never moved, it never jiggled up in a tree or nothing. It was just totally stationary. And I know it wasn't like a trick of my mind or anything because it was there for quite a while. It wasn't like a flashing moment or anything. And when we looked at each other, it seemed, I don't know, I would have to say 40 seconds, 50 seconds, because we were locked on eye to eye. And I was trying to figure out stuff around it and everything. The eye never moved. Then at the end, what was weird was just the pupil moved towards the inside part of the eye, and then you could see the whole head turn where the eye disappeared. And then that was it. No moving in the tree, no sound, nothing.
so
And
it's like it turned away, like it just broke its
yes,
gaze, turned away, and turned its head.
but it turned its pupil first inward, and then it turned away and disappeared.
Like it was almost looking at something else.
Oh no, like it was done with me, and it turned its eye, kind of like I get this feeling like it was just objective of the whole situation. It just turned its eye, and then the rest of the head turned, and then it was gone.
Say it was probably surprised that you caught it with the light.
Yeah, I think it definitely was surprised because I came out there and I was looking around. I was scanning the bottom, and for some reason, I just had this urge to look straight up, and boom, I hit it right away. So it definitely was caught off guard. Every time I come outside, I look up in that area, and I never see
All
nothing
right.
more.
So when you seen that, like, what was your initial reaction? Like the feeling that the feeling you felt. Like, did the hair stand up on the back of your neck? Did you feel queasy or anything?
No, I don't know if I had that emergency alert bell in my head that lets me know that something dangerous is going on.
Mm-hmm.
I rarely get the hair standing up on me. Sometimes if like a ghost scenario or whatever is happening, I'll feel that maybe, but there is no feeling. Like when I first came on it with the light, I was surprised, and then I was confused, and then I was trying to figure it out, and I guess I didn't think, that it could come out and get me or something weird. Um, but yeah, kind of got the shakes talking about it now. But yeah,
So,
bizarre.
did you go? Did you go back to that area like the next day and check, like look up into that tree?
Yeah, I did. I analyzed everything. There was nothing. Oh, thanks for reminding me. When I was telling you about the incident over there with the bonfire,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
there was about 3 feet of snow. I couldn't wait till the next morning. I was going to go out there. I got myself armed, went out there, looked everywhere. You had to wear snowshoes. I panned the area where we were, the backwoods, went deep way back in the forest, and I kept doing swiping, fanning out back and forth a pretty good distance in case they went different directions. And there wasn't a single freaking footprint ever. And the only thing I could think of is maybe they came through there because there's enough trees to get up into an area without touching the ground. It's the only thing I could think of. And I do remember after I came back from the fire pit, freaked out, my curiosity got the best of me. I think about 3 or 4 minutes later, I went back out to the fire pit, and I did hear a bunch of tree breaks and twigs snapping and stuff, but I couldn't locate it with the headlamp or anything like that. But you could definitely tell it was fading away.
Like it was going away from your area.
Yes.
Okay. So I got a new picture up on the screen. Can you tell us a little something about this one? Because I wouldn't want this shit near me at all.
Well,
Yeah, I see
first
something
off,
like that. I'm running.
yeah, that's I would say the most unusual track I found. That canine print there, that is of a coyote. It's a
Okay.
small print. Okay, so it's not like a dog man or anything like that. But what blows me away is what the heck made those Freddy Krueger marks next
That
to it. And that's another
that's
thing that I would
that's
like
what caught
people
my
to,
eye.
yeah, I'd like people to chime in what they think that is too. But if you look
It-
at those, if you blow it up and everything, you could see whatever it was like a knife blade. It looks real sharp. It cut into the mud. And you know what's interesting too is in a couple of those claw marks at the base of them, not at the
Hmm.
tip, I see little
Well,
circles,
well,
little holes. Like,
which direction were they going in? Were they going were the tracks these claws going that way, or were they coming back closer toward were they going towards the paw print?
you know what? Where it meets the print, I think, is the base of the claw, and away from
Okay.
the print is the tips of the claws. But if you
Okay.
look
So
at the
this that
base of
makes
the
weird.
claws, see that top one there, right where your cursor is?
This one.
Go up one more. That one, right where your cursor is, down low, right there. See those
Yeah.
two little holes?
Yeah.
There, I don't know what the heck that is, but there's little holes there, and you could see kind of a little hole on the next one down. But I have no
Weird.
idea what did that. Yeah, and that's deep, And I can't picture some goofy
No,
dude walking around in the woods sticking a knife near
Yeah, that
a
looks.
print
so
making mark.
so
That looks.
this is obviously a muddy area. How like is it kind of soft, really soft, mushy mud, or is it like you know what I mean?
Well, it definitely depends on if it's dry or if it rains. I would say this was semi-dry,
Okay.
and the thing is it's not obviously the weight of a yoke. Let's say that's a big one. It might be 45, 50 pounds. But when you look at those claws, those are way deeper than the coyote print there.
Yeah.
And like I said,
Whatever made that had some weight to it.
Yeah.
yeah, or
They
it's
were. You know what they
almost
remind me
like,
of? Now that I look at them, it's like Wolverine.
yeah.
Like
But you notice those lines on the claws are crisp. So it didn't grab the mud and slide its hands back. It looked like it hit the mud and sunk into it, and then it pulled it out.
Yeah.
And you know, and a regular animal's claw would not. It would leave a wider mark. These are really thin, like they're almost needles or something.
Almost like a Freddy Krueger glove.
Yeah,
Hmm.
but that's one of my most interesting
Like
prints I
how
found.
how big were these? Like lengthwise?
Those claws from tip to end, I would say were about 3 inches, maybe.
So about the size of a Bic lighter.
Yeah, or
Okay.
maybe 3/4 of a Bic lighter. They weren't that big, but they were unusual.
Hmm. And how far that this was down that logging road area?
Yeah, it's about anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes down from where I live.
Okay. I mean, hmm.
see now you can get a better perspective of it. Now that it's like back, that was crazy.
Oh, so I'll go back a second.
Yeah,
So
Yeah, like now that you like put it back, you can actually get a grasp on like what it really looks like. It looks like whatever it was stepped. It might have been following that coyote, and it
yeah. I
stepped
think
right in
the
that
yoke
print.
print was
But
in it first, and then those claw marks came in second. And what's weird is that it's at the end of that yoke print too.
Hmm.
But who knows? I mean, I seen that weird hummingbird cucumber flying thing. Who knows if there's like little people or fae running around back here?
Yeah, I believe. Oh, shit, I believe it. All right, so what's this one here?
Okay, this is that 23-inch footprint that I found in back, uh, pretty far back in on that logging road. As you can see around the print, there's a lot of dead plant debris. So
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
whatever stepped there, it picked up the plant debris. It stuck to its foot because it's all clear. And where it didn't pick up the debris is that mid torso break, where you can see a line in the middle of the print where all the debris is still there, where that joint in the foot is.
Yeah.
And then near the body of the tape measure is where the toes are. And you could see the individual toes. But you got to keep in mind this print was in kind of a 45-degree angle piece of ground. It's one of the excavator tire ruts
Okay.
from years before when they logged it out. So that's like one of the best big footprints that I found. And there was a couple of other ones nearby, but they're goofy looking. I didn't even bother to take pictures of it because it wasn't that clear, you know. You could tell so that footprint made more footprints.
So
But what I
how?
find interesting is this print and the one I found in the snow. I only
Yeah.
found one print, and I don't understand that. You know how, if there's snow. I mean, I can see they could get up in a tree or whatever, but it's just
Did-
weird how they leave a print, one print.
So how wide was this one?
Well, according to that tape measure, I
It
would
looks like it'd be
say,
about. It looks like it'd be about 9 inches wide.
yeah, between 7 and 9 for sure. It was huge. I walked past it. I didn't even realize it was there, and I was coming back, and I saw it, and I thought that's weird. I thought maybe I stepped on it with my boot and I slid, and I'm like, no, I didn't do that. Then I noticed how freaking huge it was, and I'm like, oh my god, this is an actual footprint. So I made sure I went back and got a tape measure, came out there and took a photo.
Now this stuff right here does it. Did this appear to be stepped on or anything like that? Like it was broken off because it looks like it's leaning up against this little log here. I mean, like this piece
Well,
might have
that
been.
little, if
They
you,
might have
yeah,
stepped off and
yeah,
then snapped this right here, this little part right here.
I think so, because right under the tip of that tape measure, you could see that stick there. It looks like it's pushed down.
This one.
It might have bumped that and then set its foot down past it, because it did seem to slide the way the toes are curled. Because, like I said, that ground is on an angle, so it
So
probably didn't step too good there.
so if I'm looking at I'm looking at this right. This is the 23 here. It would have started curving around this way, right? So
Well,
this might have been a wet. It might have been wet there. How like was it? Did this look fresh?
yeah, it definitely looked fresh. I got
So
that in April 20th, the day before my birthday in 2020. But if you zoom in on it, you could see where the heel is. See on the bottom there how it pushed up the dirt?
yeah, let me zoom. Oh shit, wrong. I'm gonna get to you. I'm gonna get to you. Get off the screen. All right, so we're back here. All
But
right,
yeah, look at the bottom curved part on that footprint there. You can see where
like
where the debris, see where there's no debris?
yeah, right
Yeah,
here.
right there. Now yep, see that ridge?
Yeah,
And on the bottom down there. So that's kind of where I think the heel might have been. It could have extended out to that stick, but as
to
far
like
as
right
I know,
here.
I think,
See,
yeah,
that's what it looks like to me. It looks like the heel part stepped on this twig because it's kind of because if it was a fresh print, its foot would have been wet from all the mossy area back over this way, right? So if it was stepped
Right.
over, this might be part of the heel right here. You know what I mean? Coming this way.
Yeah, that could be. But
Whatever it
that would
is,
make it more than
that would make
23
it.
inches.
Yeah, that would make it like almost 24, I believe. That
Yeah.
that I don't want. I wouldn't want to run into that shit in the woods.
No.
Have
Yeah.
you had any like straight on views of one of these things? Like maybe
Now,
like peeking
unfortunately,
behind a bush or behind a tree or something like that, or was it just like kind of in passing?
you know what? I kind of seen one, but it wasn't here. That road where I got the big canine prints. We were driving down through there one day, and we were chaga hunting. It's a mushroom that grows on birch trees,
Okay.
and we were looking for that. So our eyes are tuned to the woods, and we went around this corner. We're deep in the woods, and we went around this corner, and my girlfriend thought she seen something, and I seen the look on her face, and I'm like, "What'd you see?" And she goes, "I don't know. I think I think it was a Bigfoot." And I'm like, "Really?" And she described it. It was jet black, it had a conical head. She could see the hairs off of it, but when they locked eyes, it backed off and backed away. So we kept driving because we had to go about a half mile, 3/4 mile to where this tree was. We're going to get the chaga. And from listening to a lot of awesome channels like Volts and Sean's and everyone else's, I learned a lot of things about the foots. So I told her it's probably going to parallel us all the way out.
Yeah.
And we finally get to the spot where we know this tree is we're going to collect chaga off of. And we pull off on the road, and I went up into the woods. You had to go in about 100 feet. And, I went in, stopped, scanned, went in, stopped, scanned, all the way till I got to the tree. And I didn't see anything. And then my girlfriend came up behind me, and then straight ahead through the trees. If you look in the woods during the daytime, sometimes the canopy can create a shade darker of woods way out.
Yeah.
Well, I seen that, but in that darker part of the woods, I seen something jet black, and I could see the head and the shoulders. And the shoulders were every bit of 4 feet plus across. And then I seen what looked like an arm was bent up holding a branch. And so I stayed locked on it, looking at it. And I'm standing next to the tree with the chaga. And I was telling my girlfriend, and I was actually pointing at it, which probably was stupid. But I tried to get her to see it, and she couldn't see it. So I'm like, okay, whatever. Just go back to the truck and get my binoculars so we can get a look at it. So I'm still staring at it. And then a thought got into my head that, well, maybe I'm doing something stupid and I shouldn't be staring at it. Maybe I might get it mad. So what I did was I just quickly looked up the tree to where the chaga was, and then I looked back down, and it's not there. It's gone. So now it was a rush to get the ladder out of the truck, haul it through the woods, climb up it, cut the chaga down, and get the heck out of there. But I'll tell you this. Before we left, because you don't take things out of the woods without giving something back. That's the way I roll, how I look at things. You
Yeah.
got to treat a lot of stuff with respect. So I had this really cool rock that I found, and my girlfriend had this felt pouch filled with tobacco. So we put the rock and the tobacco in this pouch and left it at the base of the tree as an offering. So then we skedaddled, and that was on a Saturday. 1 week later, on a Saturday, I came outside of the house. It was in the morning, and I was smoking a cigarette. And there's a big, old pine tree that I could barely wrap my arms around in front of the house. And next to it, we had cut some 8-inch diameter birch logs into 1-inch discs. There
Okay.
was quite a few of those. There was quite a few of those around that tree. And I noticed something sticking out of one of the discs. And I could shoot you a photo of that later. But when I went to look at it, it looked like someone took uh, a branch from a tree that had branches out, and it broke out of little branches to make a stick person with their arms sticking straight out on a 45-degree angle, like a big hug or something weird.
Okay.
And this stick was about 2 inches tall. Something jammed it into the birch disc and left it there where the arms were and the body was facing the front of the house. And I looked all around. It would be a lottery chance for a branch to fall out of a tree and break into what looks like a stick person shoved into that piece of birch. And I actually pulled that stick person out of that birch because I was curious. And it was really hard to pull out, and I couldn't push it back into it. But I do have photos of that. We think that because we left that offering, it followed us. I'm sure it knew how to get to our house because they could do stuff like that, and it's not that far away for it. But I think that maybe
You left
because
it
we left
off.
an offering, yeah, that he did a little thing there. I mean, I'm not sure. A lot of
Yeah.
things are speculation, but that's too much of a coincidence to me.
Man, that sounded like some Blair Witch shit to me. Oh man. All right, so we got to know. So this one right here, right? What's going on with this one?
Look at the stride on
Okay,
that.
now that's on the side of the house, and that would be like the closest weird whatever that occurred on the side of the house. But I noticed these tracks, and they're really far apart. And I've seen deer and different things jump in snow, and they jump pretty far to keep moving, because the snow's deep. But to me, that doesn't look like that. They were old when I found them, not like severely old, but I'd say a couple of weeks, maybe a light snowfall after they were made. So I couldn't really tell what kind of track or print because it was covered in snow, but you could see the indentions in there. And just to give an idea, I drew the red arrows for every time a print was made. And you can see these prints are linear, they're straight, they're not one print off to the side as it goes along. And I also walked along the side of it. You could see my prints to the left of that to give you an idea of how many steps it took for me to make one of those steps that's in the prints to the right. So those prints go back down in the woods. So
So they go back down. They go back down that way.
Well, right where that cursor is, they start curving in, and it goes towards the back of the house. But I got a lot of snow piled up from the snow blower and stuff.
Okay.
And it looked like it stepped up on that hill part, and then that was the last print that I seen. But I do know from research that when Bigfoot steps in the snow, the way their legs are structured, that they're not going to leave a trailing edge. Like when you step in the snow, you leave a drag mark coming out or going in. And I was wondering if this was a juvenile or something, but the strides are pretty big. And then there is a leading and trailing edge on those prints as well. So it's not like I ruled out it was a Bigfoot just because of that fact. But I have no idea what would be that tall It's as well too. I seen squirrels do stuff, but they're not gonna jump that far. When they jump out of the tree to get to another one. So
Mhm.
that one left me puzzled. I'm not really sure what that is. Eventually, soon, I'm going to set up some cameras outside the house so I could catch some video. I've been looking at what's called a starlight camera, which I don't believe uses IR. And
Infrared.
so, yeah, it doesn't use that. Oh, that's a cool picture there.
Yeah,
Just
this is
spotted that back
I
in the woods.
yeah, I think you just posted this one the other day.
Yeah, later on, or earlier this evening, I did.
What the
But
hell is going on here?
you could see that I wonder what kind of message that is, but you could see that I think that's a 5-inch diameter tree that got split down the middle, and then all these branches were jammed in it. And I would say that's about 5 feet off the ground. But that was I seen a lot of tree bends and goofy things back in the woods, but that to me was amazing that something could split that small tree down the middle and then shove all that in there. I mean, I don't know of
They,
any person that could do that.
That's
they'd
not a
have to
natural occurrence. That's crazy.
it would have to be split and then pulled apart and held apart to stick all that shit in there.
Or if you're strong enough, you press that thing towards the ground and open up that split and jam the stuff in.
So the split starts. What did I say? The split starts what right here?
No, because you see how it's lighter colored? The
What
split
down
goes
here?
down further. Yeah, it goes down a lot farther. See that ridge right there? That's the split. That's on
So
the side of the tree. I
and
think that split is about a foot off the ground from the tree, and it goes all the way up. It's like a 6 foot long split.
so what the hell?
But I could tell that that's an old split because most of the split is gray from sun bleaching. How
Yeah.
wood turns gray from the sun. But you could see right where the plant material is, it's still kind of light colored inside. So
Like right
yeah,
in
like
here.
right there, yep, it's got that pine color look to it.
Now this one right here, kind of it looks fresh a little bit, doesn't it? Was this one fresher than the rest of this stuff?
I never looked at it that way. It could very well be. I mean, the photo should be able to tell a lot, but that's definitely unusual.
I, I, I don't know. Um, Maybe when Vault goes back and watches this, he'll see it and he might be able to give some insight because I don't know what the hell I'm looking at here, man.
I've seen photos of like tree
That's
structures and stuff like that, and I've never
like, what do you got?
seen nothing like that.
You got the woman in the woods in your backyard, man, working mountain monster stuff.
Yeah, I do got an audio of what sounds like a woman, but yeah, there was
No,
one morning.
no, thank you.
Yeah, there was one morning. My girlfriend woke me up and she's like, "Do you hear that?" And I'm like, "Hear what?" And then I hear this blood curdling scream. And I've done videos where I listen to mountain lions and stuff, and this is nothing like it. It was like many women screaming at once, and it was freaking super loud. And it was right out off to the side of the house, across the logging road in the woods. It carried on for like 5 minutes. It was almost ear piercing.
Hmm. So we got this canine print that's the size of a $20 bill here.
Yeah, pretty close.
Oh, that's a big dog, man. Was that a
Yep.
coyote? What? That's a coyote print.
No, coyotes don't get that big. And there are things called coy wolves. That's a mix of coyote and a wolf. Uh,
Are they
I
reported to
got
be in your area sometimes?
I got them on my game show cam. but they don't get that big. They're like a yote, like I said, a mature big yote could be 50, 55 pounds. Uh, and a coy wolf is a tiny bit bigger. Um, but this, whatever this is, I chalk that up as being a actual wolf, maybe one of the slate grays or a black wolf. Um, I'm not too knowledgeable about dogman prints. Uh, I suspect that there are dogmen up here. We talked about that a little bit earlier,
Yeah.
but there was one time we were coming home. And like I said, there's a county road called 51 that goes by our house. We're the nearest town is about 35, 40 minutes away. And we were coming back home from shopping and it was late and there was about an inch or two of snow. We passed by some lady who slid off and hit a sign in the ditch. There were some people there that helped her out, so we knew she was okay, so we kept going. When we got near the house, you got to cross a bridge for the Manitowish River, and I seen about 50 feet because like the trees up here are 100 plus feet tall. But I seen up in the trees, I'll never forget it, these blood red eyes, like blood ruby red eyes. And they're up in the tree, and where those trees were is right at the woodline edge to where the river is. So I think something was up there hunting the whatever cruises along the river, like deer or something. But the eyes were enormous, huge. They were not round. So I don't think it was a Bigfoot because they got more of a round eyes. These were kind of like what a dog's eyes kind of almond shaped look, but the eye spread was far apart. And they were the most blazing, reflective, blood red I ever seen in my life. Totally freaked me out.
Did they make any motions after, like when you saw them? Did they make any motions after that?
It kind of looked like it was looking down at the vehicle as we drove by.
Oh, because those like looked like it was staring you guys down.
Yeah, and I had just a millisecond of, hey, let's pull over and check it out, and I tossed that thought to the side. I mean, if it was a dog, man, that thing could jump down. I don't want to mess with them. I don't want them around my house. I don't. Man, it's the last thing that I want to deal with. It was cool seeing it in the tree. Uh, I'll never forget those eyes. You can get any red reflector. It can't touch what that looked like. That's
So,
an interesting photo there.
so I believe the description was something looked like it grabbed the tree, which it
Yeah,
looks
you
like
could
there's a
see.
fingerprint right here, fingerprint
Yeah, and
here.
it
I
crushed.
see it.
It crushed that bark.
See an indentation here. You can kind of see it's pressed. Looks pressed and creased underneath here.
You did a pretty good analogy of that.
Hmm. That's a massive hand, man. If what the hell?
Yes, it
Because
would be a massive hand.
you can see the outline of the finger right here. So
Well,
I'm
look in between that in the middle, in between both of those right there. Go down. Oops, off to your
right
left,
here,
right there. Nope.
right here,
r- Nope. Go left, right there.
right here.
Go back. No, in between those two, right there.
Yeah.
Now go
Oh
straight down. See that ridge, that line? Yep, right there. That looks like a claw to me.
yeah. What the hell could it did that? So
I
it
don't know, but
it looks like it gripped it going up. You know what I'm saying?
you know what it
Or could,
was those trees were standing straight up. Every time I go back there, I would see how everything is. I look for tracks. One day I walked back there and those trees were bent down, touching the ground, the tips of them. And This is on
Uh,
the underside. So it had to have just reached up where you can access the tree the easiest, and it grabbed it and pulled it down. And there's two of them that are side by side like that that got pulled down. And there's not too many oaks up here, but that's an oak tree.
is this the same area that where you posted the photo where you was walking down the trail and it looks like they bent the trees over the trail? Like one day they were
That's the
there,
same
one
tree.
day they weren't there.
Yep. Yep, that's it. And I know it wasn't from snow because snow will pile on trees and bend them. But this was in the springtime. I walked back there in the spring. Trees are fine. Next day, I walk back there. This canopy is on the ground, and I'm like, "What the hell happened?" I thought the trees broke or something. And then I went around the canopy and I looked, and you can see that they were bent down. They're still alive. They're still alive today. Still bent down today
Like
too.
it looks to me like that. Like it didn't grab it from the bottom; it came from the top. If you know what I'm saying.
You know what? It could
Like
have.
it was
I.
like it was reaching over it.
Oh yeah, I see that now. Yep. I'm no expert, definitely, on what's going on, but
This would
that's
be
what
the
this
finger,
is.
like this would be the finger. This would be the fingertip right here.
Yeah,
Hmm.
like it was like reaching over it, kind of like like if you're stepping over a log or something like that, you put your hand down, then step over it,
Well,
kind of
if
like
Yeah,
that.
well, check. Listen, if that's the case, right? Say this would be the pointer, right? Right here would be, I guess, the middle finger, and
Hmm.
then it's got a little bit of a just. It looks like a dark scratch right here. You see that?
Hmm.
that is yes.
And then this would be the ring finger,
Yep,
and then right here, you could almost make out an indentation
of your pinky.
of a pinky. So whatever this a massive hand because that means the thumb would have wrapped around the backside of this and caused
Yeah,
this to crease up inside,
yeah.
crease up around like that.
If it grabbed it the way I'm thinking, the thumb would have been. All right, so we're gonna say it was lefty. Let's say he grabbed it with his left. The thumb would have been up near the top where the branch is.
Up here.
Yeah, like somewhere up there. If it was lefty.
Yeah, you never know. This will be a good one for Bolt to analyze because he's pretty good at that.
Well, I got it saved. So when he sent me a StreamYard invite, so when we get done here, we'll hop in there and we'll give him some. We'll let him look at it. Now, what do we got going on here?
Okay, so this is the footprint I found, I think about 4 days ago, and it was at the end of the driveway. Well, the snow where the imprint is where the snow was piled up from the snowblower, so it stepped on that part facing the woods.
Okay, like it
And
was
all
walking
those
away
arrow
from,
marks,
like it was walking away
yes. And all those arrow marks there are where I seen toe impressions.
right
Like not
there,
crystal clear, but you could tell there's some kind of toes.
there, right there. Kind of see it here,
Yeah, kinda.
there, and around like
And
that.
snow in a photograph is really hard to tell.
Now, when you zoom out, you can see this big one.
Yeah. But in real life, when you're looking at that, it's a lot more definitive.
Yeah, because the camera's never going to catch what your eye catches.
Right. And then down at the bottom of that $20 bill is where the heel was. That one I measured out to be around 16 or so inches.
So it'll came around like this. Oh, like this. And then wrapped around because this probably, yeah, this looks like it was a narrower. Like this foot was a lot more narrow than the other prints that you've had.
Yeah, but it's in the snow too, so that's
Yeah,
that's a huge difference compared to
plus
mud.
yeah, plus the snow probably melted and closed in on it.
Well, I guarantee you the snow did not melt. It's been pretty chilly up here,
Mm,
and there's no sunlight that could hit that, even if it's cold and partially melted.
wow. So, man, you've been catching some pretty good stuff, man. I see your posts every day.
Hmm.
Well,
And Bass is always like, did you see what did you see what Dark posted on Facebook today? Did you see what Dark posted on Facebook? I'm like, yeah, man, I saw it. Now the
well,
one
I'm
picture
glad
that
you
you,
guys are interested, and I'm happy to share them. I think getting knowledge out to people is really important. Because no one's saying that these things are real or whatever. And obviously there are signs that they are around.
yeah, like something's got to be going on. There's too many signs being left for there's something not to be out there. Perfect example is your photos. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, and at the same time, these things are so freaking elusive. It's silly.
that that's the boggling part about it. Like, how could a creature say on average your Bigfoot may be 8 foot tall, 700 pounds? How does a creature that big how could it be so elusive that you never see it?
Dude,
Granted,
think
we're
about
not granted people are not always in the woods every day, like, you know what I mean, like,
dude,
but
they're the master of their domain. Like, think about it. They're in the woods all the time, so any slight change, even like you put like a camera out and it gives off a frequency, that's a change that they're gonna notice.
Yep. Yeah,
But
these things
just
been in
just
the woods for
little shit.
centuries. I mean, they're the ninjas of the woods.
Yeah, Bigfoot hide and seek champion.
so
I would lose at that game real fast.
now has your girlfriend's son ever said he's had any experiences, anything weird happen to him?
No, not really. He's more indoors. Um,
Oh, so
but
he wouldn't be outside
yeah,
like getting messed with.
no, no, no. And if he's outside, we're always around with him. So there was one time we were cutting up some of the dead logs back there for the fire pit, and he did say monster. And we looked around, we couldn't see anything. But I believe he knows what he's talking about.
So maybe he saw it, and when he announced it, like when he announced it, he probably pointed, right, and then the
No, he
thing
didn't point. He
he
just
didn't point.
he just
He
said it.
just
Yeah,
his
he
foot
just
did
said it
his.
in a casual voice.
Uh, hmm. Did
So yeah,
what was he looking in a certain direction?
yeah, we were looking that way, couldn't see it.
So maybe it was looking at him when he saw it. He announced it, and then it like dipped off when you guys turned.
Yeah, I think that's very possible.
Hmm.
Yeah, there was one time I think I really could have seen one, but I don't fear anything really, but that time I decided not to look. But
Yeah.
I went out, like I said before, I went outside to smoke a cigarette at night, and it was pretty late. And I'm standing in between the woods and the house in the middle of the driveway smoking. And all of a sudden I heard breathing, and it was like just constantly. And I was thinking, is that me? So I stopped breathing and it kept going. And I'm like, okay, there's something with massive, massive lungs breathing, and it's really, really close.
Like,
So I
was
was
it to what?
facing,
Was it to your left, right, behind you?
okay, to give you an idea of the setting, I was in front of my house looking straight ahead. So my back was to the house, and I'm looking straight ahead into the woods in front of me because there's woods 360 around the house. But I'm looking in front of me, And off to the side where I told you where our cars park,
Hmm.
there's no light there. The porch light only shines in the front of the house. So it's black by the cars. And after realizing it wasn't me, and I sat and I listened to it, and it was a weird breathing. It was almost gurgly, but not it didn't sound like it was suffering, but it sounded like there's phlegm or something in it. But it was taking massive, deep, long breaths and deep exhales, and it was slow. So I kept listening to it, and like I said, I got pretty good hearing, and I deduced that it was coming from on the side of the house where it was blacked out.
So by the
So
cars.
I had, yeah, by the car somewhere over there. So I decided I was thinking, well, it's right there. Maybe I could finally see one. But I thought, man, if I make eye contact and I'm this close to the house with it, I don't know if that's going to be good. So I ended up chickening out. I walked backwards back up the stairs and went inside the house. So
Shit,
yeah, I checking out big time on that one.
shit, I would have ran back in the house. You talk about walking.
But but that was super close, you know. And it wasn't wintertime or anything like that. The from the cars, we got like a sand rocky driveway,
Yeah.
but it's really compressed hard. But I went looking around for tracks. I didn't see anything there either. But I know for sure there was something freaking creepy and big with massive lung capacity breathing really close to me. That was unnerving. I mean,
uh,
think about it. You're out there by yourself, and in a microsecond, if it's what I think it is, it could have picked me up, took off in the woods, and you'd never see me
yeah.
again.
Like when it was breathing
There's
next to
nothing
you,
you
did you
can do.
feel like when it was next to you, did you feel like the vibration in your chest?
Like infrasound.
No, no, it was just breathing. Like something was standing there watching me breathing.
You almost felt. Did you? You almost felt like you were being stalked.
No, I think it was a chance thing. Obviously, from certain things, I think they watch the house, they watch us, see what we do. Um, I don't know if it came up to the house because maybe it patterned me whenever I come out to smoke a cigarette and wanted a closer look. Maybe it wanted to freak me out. I'm not really sure because they do have a sense of humor from what I found. Um, when they were throwing those little rocks, I thought maybe they were just playing around. The time with the bonfire, a week later, I was out there getting the fire started for the bonfire, and it was at night, and everyone else is in the house, and I text them to let them know that the fire is going so they can come out. So I go out there, make sure things are good, and then I get a fire going. And I remember I had really hard time trying to get the fire started because stuff was wet. So I'm on my hands and knees blowing into the bottom of this fire, and I finally got it lit, and it took off. So we got these metal lawn chairs. So I sat back in one of the lawn chairs, and I roll my own cigarettes. So I was rolling a cigarette, and right when I was licking the paper, right behind my head, like a foot behind my head, sounded like two massive catcher mitts just going pow, 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 clapping. And it was like I heard it the first clap, thunderous boom clap. Then I heard the second one, and that's how long it took my mind to register what the hell's going on. And I jumped up and I spilled all my tobacco, my cigarette went flying, and I spun around and I hit the light, and there's
Oh, this
nothing
happened at
there.
this happened at night.
Yeah. And there's nothing there. And the only thing I could think of was maybe they were congratulating me because I got that stupid fire started, or I don't know. But I look at it as they're goofing with me, and somehow they snuck up behind me and just did this massive loud clapping sound. And it
Now,
was real slow. It was like How?
Question. So you're sitting down in the metal chair, right?
Yeah.
The woods and the foliage behind you, how high is like the grass or everything like that? Is there any possibility that this thing could have did that, made that noise, and then like went commando and fucking ducked down really quick?
That would have been real creepy if it did that. But there is no grass because it's in the woods. There are like little pine saplings growing and different things like that, but it's pretty sparse. Uh, Even if you're in a thick grove of really like a foot tall pines just starting to grow, yeah, I would think I would see something. But you know, there was nothing. I mean, there was a lot of trees. It could have hid behind a tree. It could have did a lot of things. But I found that was
Well,
just
yeah.
really creepy.
Well, you said it was at night, so the thing probably did it somewhere. It probably did it in a pretty close distance to you and just ducked off behind a tree because you're the light you're using isn't gonna go 1,000 feet. You know what I mean?
Oh, I tell you what, those clapping sounds were like a foot behind my head. That's what freaked me out. It was really, really close.
It's,
And that's
this
what's
is,
puzzling. I thought I was going to see something, but I didn't see nothing.
were you wearing your brown pants that night?
I was wearing multicolored pants just in case. Oh, geez.
Wow,
But yeah,
man.
it's been definitely an experience up here, and I find it really exciting. I want to learn a lot more about these creatures and what other things might be around here.
Yeah, because you're just what, like 2 3 years into this now, right?
Right. Well,
So
with
where where
the
where are
smackdown
you
of the
from?
truck,
Where are you from? Previously.
I used to live in a town called Lake Villa that was in the northern part of Illinois, about an hour north of Chicago.
Okay, okay. And now you're out. Now you're out in the sticks, getting harassed by
Yeah.
Bigfoot.
Well, back in at the other place, I was on a 129-acre farm, and I helped a guy that was a steward to the land do a lot of farming and stuff like that. You know, raised all kinds of animals, planted all kinds of crops,
Cornfield.
did a lot of hunting. Mostly hayfields. We had a premium area for selling hay.
Because I don't know, man. Something about cornfields are just they're creepy as hell. There's always something wrong with cornfields.
Yeah, whether it be
Yeah,
dogman, Bigfoot, UFOs.
that's right. There were a lot of cornfields around the areas and in towns going towards the city for sure. Lots of corn.
So, in working on that 130-acre farm, was there anything any of the coworkers or anybody else ever have anything strange happen out there?
Yeah, there was one time we were outside of my friend Paul's house and looking at the hayfield. It goes out pretty far and then it goes up a hill and there's some trees up there and then there's a barn next to it. And I kept thinking I saw a deer's head. Sometimes they'll lay in the hayfield and their head will stick out. You can see their neck and their head.
Hmm.
So I was talking to my friend and looking at that. And after a while, he noticed I was looking at something and he's like, "What are you looking at?" And I'm like, "Is that a deer over there?" It was pretty far out. So he went in his truck and he got binoculars. And then he goes, "Dude, you got to look at this." And I'm like, "What?" So I got the binoculars and I looked and there's this freaking canine head. The hay is about 4 feet tall, and this head sticking out above the the hay. And earlier, I saw some turkey vultures flying around and landing in the tree above where this head was sticking out of the grass. So we're looking at it, and it's looking right at us, and it's panting, its tongue's hanging out, and then it looks off to the side, and then it looks back at us. So my buddy's like, "Let's go into this finger of woods where we could slip up on it and get a closer look." So we went to do that. And by the time we got to the edge of the wood line in those woods where you can look out and see what this was, it was gone. So we went over to where it was laying in the hay, and a lot of times when deer lay in the hay, you could see the beds where the hay's pushed down.
Mm-hmm.
This wolf looking thing, this is like 10:30 a.m. in the morning. This thing was laying down there. You can see the impression, the bed. And my friend, he's about as tall as I am, about 5'11". He laid down in that bed, and his head and his feet couldn't touch the ends of that bed. The thing was huge. And I looked at it in the binoculars. From the end of the snout to the back of its head was big. It was like maybe a foot and a half.
And you said
So
its head was above the hay.
yeah, it was above the 4-foot hay, and it was laying
Like
down.
laying down, it was above the hay.
Yes.
What the? Holy shit!
So check this out. So we're looking at the bed. He's laying in it, and it's way bigger than he is. And then I remembered about that turkey vulture that landed in the tree. So we went up the hill a little further because this thing was at the base of the hill laying down. So we went up the hill a little further, and owls, hawks, turkey feathers flew out of this tree. And I'm like, holy cow, that's crazy. Why are all these birds and different ones in these trees? And I'd say about 40 feet away from where that wolf was on the top of the hill was the remains of a deer that it hit that morning. That wolf creature, whatever it was, ate both hindquarters and all the organs inside of that deer. That's a lot of freaking meat. Because
that whatever it was,
deer,
whatever it was massive. If its head was sticking out over the 4-foot hay laying down.
Yeah, and it ate a lot of meat because the deers in northern Illinois are pretty big. There was a big doe that it hit.
So
And
what color was this thing?
it was black with brown, like like a typical leather brown, not light or dark, like medium brown splotches.
What the hell? So and upon seeing this deer, what was your friend's reaction?
Oh, we were both freaked out. We couldn't believe how much meat it ate. We couldn't believe the size of it, how its head was above the hay, how long the bed was.
Now
And
the deer, were there like claw marks, chew marks?
no, you know what? We didn't notice that.
Oh, you didn't go.
I
You
think
didn't go up and examine it. Like get close and
oh,
examine it.
we did. But there wasn't like tearing or whatever. Like the skin and the meat was gone off the hindquarters on both hindquarters, and then you could see where it chewed through the stomach and got up into the organs. But I believe that its neck was broke. So I think it was hiding on the side of the barn because the deer, how the deer pattern from hunting up there, they cruise around the side of the barn, they go off into the woods. So I think it set up on the side of the barn, and when that deer came around the corner, it jumped it. It probably broke its neck, bit it in the neck or whatever, killed it, and then dragged it down a little ways to where we found the deer. And then after it gorged, it went down further on the hill and was sunning itself in the hay and pointing towards where hit my friend's house is, and at that time was actually watching us.
What the hell? And
And we only lived like, what was it, 30 minutes, 40 minutes probably from Elkhorn, where
so that travel distance is nothing. 40 minutes.
No, it's not.
Not to one of these things.
It's true.
40 minutes, let's say that is roughly 38 miles, maybe 35, 38.
Yeah, it's
So
not too far. It might be longer than that, but either way, I mean, those things they move, they migrate according to DW.
now
Well,
this hayfield, was it near like a was it near like a work road? What was it near?
It really is isolated out because 129 acres. It was kind of centered, but I would say the closest road was like Route 83. That's a pretty busy 2-lane road. So there are like subdivision areas around the property and stuff. There's another farm field adjacent to the one we worked at that somebody else owned. But we have a couple of ponds on the property, so there's water source and plenty of deer uh, and other game animal.
So from where you and your friend were, what was the distance to where you guys spotted it that you needed binoculars?
I would say about 300 yards. I'm not super good at that kind of distance stuff, but I would say it's around 300 yards.
Okay.
It was pretty far. Like if you seen a person out there, they'd be, if you put your fingers up in front of you, they'd be about an inch tall.
Damn. Wow. Man, you got some pretty, man, you need to stay out
yeah,
the woods.
I see his post. I see his post every day, and I'm like, damn, he caught that. All right, that's new. All right, oh, he got that. And I seen the one like we were talking before the show started about the that tree that fell on your truck. It's kind of crazy.
So
Yeah,
that's
that's
now, was that weather related, or is that, do you think something did that?
in the beginning, I was puzzled because I know that night there was no wind at all. There was no weather scenario. And Lyra, the dog we had, if someone pulled in the driveway or if you closed your door, if I slipped outside and I closed my door, she would bark in the house. She's ever always alert. And to create a smash like that would be like a 40-mile-an-hour collision with another car. It'd be a loud noise. We never woke up, heard it. The dog never barked. It was like it never happened. And then where I seen where the tree broke, I got to dig that photo out of a different computer. But it's in the wood line pretty far. And it had to have broke, went through a bunch of trees and then through a cluster of thick pines and then end up landing on my truck the way it did, which was weird. And then the impact of it hitting the truck, like I was telling you earlier, it had to have bottomed out the suspension and it turned one of the body mounts inside out. It just mushroomed out from the impact. So the suspension had to be fully collapsed and then more force on top of that to do that. And it's a decent, the branch is pretty heavy. I would say 400 or 500 pounds because I pulled it off the car. But I can't picture that falling through all those trees and then smacking it like it did onto the truck. And like I said earlier, I was up the year before vacationing and there was urine all over my tires, urine like I never seen before. And I got on that Blazer, there's 15-inch tires and they're on the top of the tires in the wheel well. And it was really dark orange and yellow, real foul smelling. And it was thick, like some of the urine dribbles froze with a bead on the end, like tree sap. And it was still pretty warm outside. But it was only on the front and back tires on the driver's side. And I knew the word Bigfoot, but I never thought much of it. Wasn't anything in my head. And even when the truck got smacked down, I never thought of it either. But you know what's real bizarre is after the truck got damaged, I was up here on vacation. I had to get back to Illinois. I was like, I was supposed to leave the next morning, and I'm like, that's not going to happen. So I went to sleep, and I had this crazy freaking dream that was super realistic, that I was in this metal, uh, engineered, uh, mechanical suit that was shaped like a dog man. And I was running down the highways, passing cars, freaking people out, and I jumped up onto a bridge. I had these super sharp claws. I don't know why in the world I dreamed that. I didn't know nothing about dogmen. I don't think a dogman did that to the truck, but I thought it was real bizarre that I dreamed that. And then by the time I got a rental car and everything to get back home, for some reason, Bigfoot kept busting in my head. It kept my subconscious kept thinking about Bigfoot. And, my regular brain wasn't putting it together. But when I got home, I started researching heavily about Bigfoot ever since then. So that was 2018 when that happened. So I would say I dug into Bigfoot first, and then I found out about Dogman through that from some joker's website or YouTube page, and got off of that after I realized what that dude was about. But anyway,
Yeah.
um, I
So
did
now
extensive research on cryptids since then.
the
Mhm.
truck. Now you didn't hear. I saw the picture. It's the red pickup truck or the red
Yeah, it's a
truck.
red SM. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm still
I, s-
driving it today.
I saw the pictures of the tree on top of it. Now you said you didn't hear any crashing or anything like that because from the pictures I saw, you should have heard that shit.
That's what I'm saying. That's what's real weird.
E-
I sleep
So
pretty light. My girlfriend definitely does, and no one woke up. No one heard it. Nothing.
I can't I can't explain that. Like the things.
It's almost like they put a sound barrier around the house or something. I don't. The
It's
dog,
it's
especially the dog, never barked.
it's weird because even all right, this is out there suggestion. Even if they took that tree, right, laid it
Mhm.
across the top of your truck and then pressed down on it, you'd still be the dog should have still alerted because you'd still hear crunching metal, breaking
Yeah,
glass.
the windshield breaking. Yep,
I don't.
that was so much worse. On top of the roof on the headliner, you got those buttons you could push to get your lights on and stuff on the top.
Yeah.
It had lights that were encased in a lens, kind of like how your headlights are. They're circular lights. All the lights, there's four of them. They all blew out of the console strip on the roof, and all the push buttons blew out as well. So that was incredible force to do that.
I, I think you got some. I think there's a lot of woo going on around your property, not just Bigfoot.
Well, they this I'm not going to name where I live, but the name of it, because there's a lot of native stuff that goes on up here. There's a reservation not too far from me, but it's called the Great Spirit, and like the Manitowish River, it's called the Great Spirit involving the river. So, and then I did some research. There was some two different tribes that had some conflict with each other, warred with each other over territory up here. So I think that there is a lot of woo bizarro things up here for sure. Uh, Always constantly investigating things. One thing I want to point out too is I do think that these foots migrate through here, because from September till about now, I get activity, and then it kind of slows down, and then in the spring I get activity again. And then I think they're coming from the north and going down south, passing through here. But they'll hang out here for a while and then they keep pushing further south, or they turn around and go back up north. I'm not really sure about how that works, but
Hmm.
it's definitely not constant every day where things are going on. There's dead spots. Uh, all the things that I posted on there, it looks like I seeing stuff every day, but those are posts and pictures and incidences that had occurred over the last 2 years. I just decided finally to start dumping all the information that I got. And maybe some people like super honored to be on this show, and I'm hoping that some people can give me a better understanding of some things that I don't know, like with the prints and stuff like that. So
Oh man,
that's why I really appreciate being on
it's
the
it's
show.
our it's our pleasure for having you on, man. Thank you
Yeah,
for coming.
absolutely.
So
Well, you guys are awesome.
I got another question for you, right? And then I think we'll end it, and then we'll all hop in with Walt. So I'm gonna steal this question from another famous podcaster. You guys might know it, but what do you think these
Oh,
things are? What do you think these things are?
and you're talking about the foots.
Yep.
Well, I've heard that they could be Nephilim. There's some biblical ties. It could be creatures from outer space. I heard stuff like that. Right now, no one really knows. I have no idea. The only thing I do know is they seem to be a physical creature here, but then there's a side of them that has some very unnatural, supernatural aspects to them, like finding one print or moving through the woods and you don't hear a single sound. And then the intelligence they have is uncanny. So I really don't know. I think they've been around for a long time, and that's about as good a guess as I could give.
Man, hey, it's honest opinion. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you.
Uh, I want to thank you again for coming on, man. We'll definitely have to get you back on again when and talk more about more evidence and a lot more photos that you've been taking. But it's been an honor to have you on the show. Thank you again. And want to say anything, Bass?
Yeah, thank you, Darkwoods. Like I told you, I'm like, dude, we should probably try to get Darkwoods on the show. Like he's putting out good stuff. Then he thought about it. He was like, yeah. Then that's when I hit you up that one day, like, yo, Dark, would you mind doing the show?
Yeah, and I never imagined I would come on to a show, and especially your guys' show. I really enjoy the content that you guys put out, and hopefully more and more people will figure this out and subscribe to you guys because you're doing an awesome job. I love how you interview people, how the questions you ask. You guys have a bright future ahead doing this.
Thank you, man. I appreciate
Thank
that.
you.
All right, so we're we're going to end it here. But thanks again for our special guest, Dark Woods. For he's a member of the Dark Water, the Nightmare Nation, Dark Waters family. Question: are you going to start putting out stuff? Are you going to create a channel, start putting your stuff out?
Well, you know what? Those photos I posted on Facebook, some of them took like an hour to upload. So it's kind of hard unless I can get a better reception scenario here for me to run something on YouTube. And then, like I said earlier, I could throw some stuff out that I have, but then there's a lot of months of dead spot where nothing's happening.
Yeah.
And, so the show might be cool. And then for a period of time, I'm not going to have anything to post unless I can
And
figure out a filler or
hey,
something.
listen, don't worry about that, man. Because when I first started my channel, because the first few interviews that I did were actual like sit down, looking at you, you're looking at me interviews, and it's with people that I work with. So we had to get our schedules to line up and stuff. There, like the last guy I interviewed, Tom. It took us like 4 months to do his interview.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's why I wanted to. That's why I wanted like do the StreamYard stuff now. Just get into the StreamYard, record, and do it like this because this makes it a lot easier. Because a lot of you guys in the Nightmare Nation, you guys got some great stuff, some great encounters, great stories, and I want to bring you guys on to share your stuff.
Hey, that's a cool outlet. And for anyone being a Nightmare Nation or chaotics, whatnot, all these people were drawn to people like you and Vault and Dark Waters because they do have experiences. And just like myself, I've had experiences and I'm looking for answers. And I come across you guys and other people in the family. And that's a beautiful setup that everyone has. And they're a bunch of real nice people, dedicated to what they do, and straight up honest folk.
Yep. All right, so we're gonna end it here, and thanks again, Dark, for coming on, man. Well, I'm gonna put you guys on hold,
My
and I'm gonna
pleasure.
end the show.
Yes, sir.
All right,
Thank you.
All right, sounds good.
all right. So we're gonna do the. Boop, boop, boop.